We're at day 43 of 50 days of fitness, and as pretty much always, I've gotten earned my first cup of coffee. And so I'm sitting here sipping on this. Did another weigh in this morning. I'm staying steady at 200 pounds. So that may be it. We'll see. We'll find out. 1 week from today is the last day, and I guess we'll have the final weigh in and kind of talk about results. So that's going pretty well. The exercise is going pretty well. The diet, it's been different this time. Normally, the way I always, at least the way I remember it, is the first couple of weeks. It's pretty rough going without sugar and going without all this stuff. But usually after 2 weeks, or maybe three, the cravings pretty much go away. But I've been craving just weird things. So I don't know. But so far I've been holding strong. I think the hard thing, I don't know when you're watching this, but it's Wednesday now, and Sunday is Easter when I'm filming this, and it's not like usual when I do these things kind of for Lent on Easter Sunday. I mean, Lent's over, and normally it's fair game, but the 50 days isn't up yet, so that may be a good thing because I find that when I do that, I think, I've done so well, but it is Easter, and so I'm just going to have a little bit of candy, and then I'll go right back on it. And once I have that candy, once I've broken it, it just seems like it's impossible to go back. So this may actually be a good thing. So that's kind of how that's going. Today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about swimming. I have not been in a pool in almost 5 years. And so like when I was doing triathlon training, so I grew up in the water, and I used to always think of myself as kind of, water was my element, that was where I was most comfortable. And my family had boats, and we would go down to the lake almost every weekend in the summer. We would be down there. Sometimes I'd stay a week or two at a time, and I swam and all this stuff. So I've always just felt super comfortable in the water. And so when I was starting my triathlon journey, and I thought, well, I'm in the water all the time. That's not going to be a big deal to do the swim. And and man, was I surprised. I I never, I never really. So when I was a little kid, for a couple of years, I was on, a swim team, but I was a little kid. I never really got into the competitive part of that. And so I went in and I thought, well, I can swim. And I was at a club that had a 25-foot, not meter pool. And I just jumped in trying to swim to the other side, and I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I was so I was so shocked, and but I thought, well, oh, all right, so it's going to take a little while to kind of get the hang of this. And so I kept working at it, and I had already done like um, marathon training, and I had a marathon or two under my belt, and I was looking for the next thing, and I thought I'm going to try a triathlon. Wasn't signing up yet for Ironman, but I had that in my mind. And so the first thing is like, just, let's do a small triathlon. And I I couldn't believe how hard it was. And so over the next few weeks, um, I was, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks. I had been training, and I just, swimming. I don't know if I was swimming every day. I can't think. I think I was swimming every day, and it was like I'd been swimming, I think, 6 or 7 weeks, and I had about that long. I was about halfway through the time until that first triathlon. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. And and then it was just kind of funny. All at once, it was right around 8 weeks. All at once, everything just seemed to fall into place. And I never was a great swimmer. I never really was. But I did get to where I could do it. And I even got to the point that I kind of enjoyed it. There were times where, and like after knee surgeries and things like that, where I couldn't really run. And if I was having a bad or stressful day, I would go for a swim. I'd take my lunch break and I would go and I would swim for 30 minutes to an hour. And so it did get to that level, but I was never really a great swimmer. And I took some swim lessons. Shout out to Mike Jatatis. I don't know if he's ever going to see this, but bless his heart, he is the best swim coach anywhere. I mean, he is just so great, and he is so patient. And I think I was probably his worst student ever. and, and the funny thing about Mike is this guy, he's so positive about everything, and that's the way he wants to coach. He never ever yells, and he rarely will say anything critical. It's all very positive. And he always wants to finish up giving you a compliment. And he was having the hardest time trying to think of anything positive to say about me. It was that bad. Bless his heart. And he is the nicest, kindest guy. But I mean, bless his heart. But even with the swim, now I am going to say that I improved a lot with Mike. I really did, but I was never really a great swimmer. But you know what? Kind of going back to what I said, that doesn't mean that you can't get to where you sort of enjoy it. I mean, I was never going to be super fast. I never quite got things. One of the biggest things really is figuring out how to breathe when you're swimming. And I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of the problems people have is just figuring out when and how to breathe. And but I got to where I could swim and I could enjoy it. It was an enjoyable workout. Um, but I was never going to be a great swimmer. And I had friends who, you know, I'd be in the pool with it was just so horrible. I mean, there's one guy, and I guess I won't mention names. I probably shouldn't have even said Mike's name, but he had been in the Navy. He and I became friends, and he was the greatest guy. And I swear, he looked like an otter. I mean, he would just go back and forth like crazy, and I just was struggling to get to the end of the pool. But anyway, I think the thing I want to really emphasize with swimming is that if you decide you're going to swim, it's probably going to be, and you don't have a background in swimming. If you have a background in swimming, my experience is that the guys who, like in high school or college, who swam, in a fairly competitive way, they usually pick it back up pretty fast. I mean, maybe, for a little while they struggle, but usually once they get it, they are back, and it's pretty amazing to watch that. But for guys like me that never did that, it's a struggle. And so I guess what I want you to focus on is um, it may be harder than you think it will be when you start out. Uh, but it gets better, and I think the other thing is that you can do it. You really can. And you can even find it enjoyable, even if you're not the best or fastest swimmer, or maybe your stroke's not beautiful or anything like that. It really can be enjoyable, and it could be a nice stress reliever, and it does really wear you out. It is a very now the good thing is that it's, like with running and stuff like that, and I like to run, but it is hard on your joints. And so that's one thing with swimming, is you're not having that impact. But swimming also, you can get injured. I mean, like usually it's like a shoulder injury or something like that. But it is a low impact type of sport. And so for people, especially if running or biking or things like that just don't really seem to work for you, you might try swimming. You never can tell. It really can be. And the other thing, I'm running longer than I expected to, but I mentioned that I grew up in the water, and I did, and we were in boats and everything else, and we were in lakes, and for safety reasons, when we would be out there, we always had a life vest on, or maybe a ski belt or something like that. And we always had like some buoyant device. And that was something that I had to get used to too, is, because, when you're swimming and doing that stuff, you don't have any of that stuff on. And at first it felt really uncomfortable, like in lakes and in rivers and things like that, to be swimming without a life vest or without that stuff. But you get to the point, it's like, oh, I can do this. I can do it. I think, and one last story here. I remember I had a buddy. He was my very best friend, and he's still a very, very good friend, but we just don't happen to see each other much. And so he called me up one time. He's like, "Hey, we're going to the river. We're gonna go swimming." I'm like, "What? We're doing what?" He's like, "We're gonna go out. We're gonna get in and all this." I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "No, we're gonna do it." I'm like, "Okay." So I went out with them, and that was probably the first time I've been in rivers and been in all that stuff, but I'd never just done like open water swimming without any life vest or buoyancy or anything else at all. And I thought, what am I going to do, man? I mean, if I'm out in the river, and I started swimming, and I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, if you can't swim a mile or however far we're going to go, you can just go to shore. I mean, shore's just right there. And so once I realized that, it's like, oh, okay, I'll be fine. If I'm having a hard time, I'll just go over to shore and I'll get up on the land. But I think a lot of it is just the anxiety. So anyway, that's my little thing about swimming. So if biking's not your thing, if running's not your thing, and you're just trying to figure out something, yeah, you might give swimming a chance. Swimming could be fun. That's it for today, my friends. Finishing up day 43. One more week. So 7 more episodes of this. And I guess I have to quit procrastinating and come up with another 50-day challenge. But we'll figure it out. So hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed this, or you know someone who might enjoy it, maybe you can share this with somebody or like it. And if you want to maybe even subscribe, I have the previous 50-day challenge, 50 Days of Trash. That was a pretty popular one, I think. And we'll have another 50-day challenge coming up shortly, probably within, maybe not in a week, but maybe in 10 days or so. So have a great day. Take care.